Life is not always going to give us everything the way we plan for it. This idea that you set up some goals, some results, something, and then life will plan out like a movie is completely ridiculous. It is putting so much pressure on people because they're trying to achieve something. They're thinking, people are thinking this world is an inert place. Here we put in, this is the American dream, right? We put in our energy and results come. If you are ambitious enough, if you work hard enough, you can achieve anything. But this is this, if this was a physics, anybody who studied math or physics, maybe you can relate to it. Like if there is a equation, there's pressure, there's force. If you experience, if you assume that there's no gravity, there's no other force in play, right? Then a body in movement will continue to stay. If you put a body in motion, will continue to stay in motion infinitely, correct? This is basic physics, right? But is there a place where there is, otherwise, like they've been trying to make these super fast trains forever and ever, that will work on superconductors that will just have no friction. Does that exist? Hasn't existed. In my entire life, it hasn't come into being yet. So there are other forces in play. Now, physics and math or objectivity will say they're just forces in play. Bhagavad Gita, yoga text will explain there is conscious beings that exert these forces. They will explain to you that these forces are not random. It's not like random, like, oh, I throw a bottle, it breaks, that's it. It's not like that. That is the science of karma. You bring your karma into this life. You take your karma from this life. You make choices. I have karma with you from another life, maybe. That's why it's not just like you just randomly meet people, things just happen random. There's nothing random in this world. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme. Nothing is random. Everything's happening for a reason. There's a conscious things. But we are used to seeing, I am the only doer. I put in work and there's results, and everything else is a resource available for my enjoyment. And the Bhagavad Gita says, Karta aham iti, ahankara vimudhatma, karta aham iti manyate. Ahankara means arrogance, false pride. You can have a sense of who you are, what you know, but ahankara means false pride. You have an over exaggerated idea of your self. What is that defined as? What is ahankara or false pride? Ahankara vimudhatma, person becomes completely foolish. Muda means foolish. Vimuda means extremely foolish. Like stupid, like you would say, right? So what is the definition of stupid? Karta aham iti manyate. I am the doer of everything. This is the belief of such a person. Prakrite kriya manani guna karmani sarvasha. Everything in this world is going on by the force of guna and karma, modes of nature, karma, and time. These things are churning everything. But you walk around like, I made this choice and this happened. I mean, just me and the choices. No, there are 5 factors of action. The Bhagavad Gita will explain. The place of doing a thing, the soul, the super soul in the heart. There's so many factors. It's not just one person who does one thing at one time and then. So how are you responsible for all the mistakes? So start by being self-compassionate, like a little bit. You are not responsible for everything happening. You feel responsible for everything that's happening because you assume that there is nobody else doing anything. But the moment you see Krishna, the moment you see the super soul in the heart, like in Christianity, they'll say God in your heart, the whole, Holy Spirit or something like that, they'll say. But the moment you recognize, then you start to see something's happening to show you something. You start to understand. You're like, oh, what am I supposed to learn from this? Rather than why is this happening to me, it becomes, what am I supposed to learn from this? That's when the game starts to change. Otherwise, you go down the bottomless pit of, I did this, I'm dumb, kartaham iti manyate. I am the doer of everything. I am who I am, therefore I am. Just everything's about I. So that is also foolishness. Beating ourselves, the self-flagellation, the self-flagellation is also a kind of sense gratification. Think about this point in a very deep sense. This is not an easy point. I remember when my spiritual master once pointed this out to me, and I was just like, no, I don't do that. That's not. I was like, no. But it is actually. Because I don't want to take responsibility for what I have done. and I'm going to be the judge, I'm going to be the criminal, and I'm going to be the punisher, and I'm going to be the person who decides. Like, I'm going to be everybody, the jury, the judge, everything. And I'm the one who did the wrong thing. Does that work in this world? No. So our job is not to sit there and take an analysis of everything we did every month. We don't have to be the good cop, bad cop, jury, judge, everything. We don't have to punish ourselves like that. Give yourself a break. Perfectionism is not something Krishna demands of us. God's never demand. Have you read it ever in any scripture, in any religion? You must be perfect. Nobody says anything about it. Nobody's saying. Where did this idea come from? Because you don't know who you are. Someone's told you got to be perfect. You can't. Actually, Bhagavad Gita will explain to your question the opposite of it. Everybody comes with 4 defects. Every living entity, everybody, tendency to make mistakes. It's there in us. That's why even in science, if you've ever done lab you've done lab, yeah, there's always human error. How much do you put for it? Percentage, plus minus. I remember we used to, in chemistry lab in engineering school, we had to measure. You'd measure like tiny particles. The weights were like so thin, like thinner than my nose pin. They were like tiny weights, very tiny. And you had to measure things to the third point of decimal. I don't know how they do it these days, but we actually had to use a real analog thing and put these tiny things. You guys probably now have technology that is different. How do you do it nowadays? You do it digital? We had these tiny weights. You had to pick it up with a tweezer and put it on a real thing and measure it to the third place of decimal. It would be like 0.00 something milligrams or something like that, you know. So you cannot imagine. I have to show it to you. You must have digital things. So yeah, but there is, even with that accuracy, always your answer has a plus minus 0.01 or something like that, a number, because human beings make mistakes. They make mistakes. But what do we do to ourselves when we make mistakes? Can't do it. So these are things to understand about ourselves, that actually we are prone to this kind of error. Also, we're prone to getting under illusion. Illusion means, like, you'll see a rope and you think it's a snake. Anybody had an experience like that? Or you see some cloth hanging and you see it's a person, right? We fall under illusion. But this doesn't just happen in these experiences, in life too. She looked at me bad, she must hate me. She might have a headache, all kind of things. We don't know what's going on, but we fall under illusion all the time. That's why relationships go sour. A, we have no time for them. B, we fall under illusion. So human beings have many defects. The Bhagavad Gita says, imagine if that was the starting point of our life. Like, these are my defects. You accepted that. How different would our approach to life be? How much more realistic would we be in our approach to life? These people, actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the ancient yoga text, exactly what you're saying. There's Bhagavad Gita, Gita means song, right? Bhagavat means the Supreme Person. Bhagavat means Bhaga, means the one who has all opulences, and Bhagavat means the one who possesses them. So Bhagavad Gita is the song of the Supreme Person. Besides Bhagavad Gita, there's other Gitas too in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's one of them is Bhumi Gita, which is earth personified. She's giving spiritual instruction about life. And she explains in Bhumi Gita, she says very nicely in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, she says, so many emperors came here. So many, there's a list. She lists Prithu, Yudhishthir, like very amazing, exemplary emperors. She lists all of them. And this is in the 12th canto, so by that time, Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 mantras. They're very powerful, right? By this time, you're on at least 17,000 plus mantras. You're at least there. You've read so much history of this planet. He's like listing all these kings came. Great battles were fought, right? One fought another. This person won, that person won. All these big, big empires were established. They come and they go. I'm still here and they're fighting over me. Look at the state of the world today. Let's look at the state of this. So many fights going on. People who are fighting will be dead and gone. The planet is still there. What are we fighting over? Just think about it. What are we fighting over? Ultimately, the problem is not No one's, I mean, no matter what you say, people are, they'll blame God, they'll blame religion, but really what people are fighting over is an inability to control our mind and senses. No one can tolerate anything. No one can tolerate anything. No one can like look beyond the itch of wanting something. Why blame others? Can we look beyond the itch of what are you wanting to achieve? So this thing that he said, like there was a whole different set of people 200 years ago, they're gone. It's a fact. It should make us think. In order to think, you need two things. Because right now, our thinking is a function of the mind, right? The mind's only thinking about what you want, what you want, what you want, what you want, what you want. What's that song by that guy who says, I don't have no satisfaction? You guys know that song? Huh? Yeah. What's the words of that? Yes. What's the words of it? Exactly. But I try and I try and I try and I try. That's exactly it. I don't have no satisfaction, but I try and I try and I try and I try. We keep trying. It's nothing. It's like, I don't know if you've seen donkeys, but in India you'll see donkeys because not every animal is eaten, So you'll see donkeys out in the open, and the person who owns a donkey will put like a heavy load on his back, and the donkey is taught that there is fresh grass at the end of the whole journey. Sorry, this dry grass he's going to get at the end of the journey. So the donkey is so greedy to get the dry grass that he will walk like miles carrying that heavy burden just because it can get some dry grass. But meanwhile, on the path that the donkey walks, there's so much fresh grass on both sides, but the donkey can't see it because he's just got that dry grass, right? Are we like that? We have a human form of life, right? We're not like animals. Sense gratification can be achieved by a dog. Don't you see cute videos of dogs and pandas? Have you seen pandas? They're so cute. They're so adorable. They just sit all day, roll around. They look really happy, right? They can be happy. Dogs can be happy. Cats can be happy. Human life is meant for something more than happiness. But if we are trying to live a life of sense gratification, we don't need human life. Animal life is meant for sense gratification. Human life means you have the ability to control your senses. That is our superpower. Not that you can fly. Birds can fly. Not that you can walk on water. Fish can walk on water, stay there, But we think that's a superpower, like you said, right? Superpowers and things. Those, our superpower is that we can control our senses. We can inquire about the Supreme. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? Cats and dogs can't do that. Sense gratification, any animal can have. And they're better at it than you guys or me. But because we are taught to indulge our senses, and when we can't handle our senses, get intoxicated, so they can be even more loose, right? So we are totally, this is slavery that you don't see. It's invisible slavery. No need for chains. You're such a slave of the Netflix. No need to put you in prison. No need. You just sit, put a good program, another program, another. You'll never move. It's just there.